Quack Pack was Disney's attempt to bridge the gap between their old lineup philosophies with the newer, edgier, 90s aesthetic. The final evolution of the afternoon lineup.
Gator Ranch, Extremo, Crisp.
Looking back, it's hard to tell if the series was actually in on the joke, or if it legitimately thought this extreme and tubular facade made them more relatable to the kids.
This new computer game is intensely cool. Speaking of cool, check out my new Happening Do.
It was even parodied on the 2018 DuckTales reboot for such.
What is going on? Everything went black, then someone drank a pep, and what is Quack Pack? The veil of reality is disintegrating, and no one else seems to notice.
Sounds like someone needs some pep in his step.
As it is, Quack Pack was kind of meh as a series, to me at least. I'm surprised to find such a die-hard fan base online, and not just for the reasons you and I are here today.
Nice perfume.
One thing you could say, it was the first series that tried to give individual appearances and personalities to Huey, Dewey and Louie. And second, it was just really well animated, like really, really well. Like strangely high-quality TV animation. You would sometimes see an episode of Goof Troop or Darkwing Duck animated like this, every half dozen episodes, but with Quack Pack, it's every other episode, which makes the subjects of today's video stand out even more.
Beloved by all. What exactly are you pointing that camera at?
But your feet of girls.
Gee, the new cameraman is really working out great.
In the Gatorade episode, Quack Pack tries to solve the mystery of the missing alligators from a tourist trap. All of this extremely well animated guy's gators were kidnapped, all except one.
My dear, loyal Antoinette.
I think I'd like to speak to this Antoinette.
Go ahead, he's standing on her.
So this is Antoinette, and the best way to describe her is if the hippos and alligators from that one Fantasia segment had a kid. Also, bedroom eyes for days with this design. She, for some reason, becomes absolutely smitten with Donald, and follows him around for most of the episode, even rescuing him and the gang when they get kidnapped by a bunch of bad guys. Now you're probably saying, Scaly, isn't that an animal, like a real one? Well, yeah, but like design-wise, she's not really any different from a Hanna-Barbera character. Like one piece of clothing, and suddenly it's fair game. And then you got like other Disney stuff, like here's Baloo, animal in the jungle, and here's Baloo in a jacket, chubby, furry icon. I really don't have a definitive answer on this, but like there are tons of anthro characters that look like this, especially those that happen to like sharp teeth. As convoluted as it sounds, Donald Duck saved a micro-country from a fire-breathing dragon, completely by accident. Living by a medieval model of governance, the country decides to make Donald Duck their king the second he returns.
Unbelievable.
When Daisy tries to find out what exactly happened, and the story behind the mysterious prince who is trying to kill Donald, she runs into the star of the episode.
Where'd you get those gorgeous shoes?
Nelly is a tall purple dragon with a long neck, and relatively thin features from the chest up, but below she has a round, orb-like figure and stocky thighs and legs. She is completely nude save for her headband and sneakers, which plays into her Valley Girl persona.
Oh, I am totally stoked!
Although she is clearly unhappy with her current position, she is kind of ditzy, and easily swayed by gifts and signs of affection, which is how Gaylord has been able to manipulate her for all these years.
Now don't forget who's your sweet prince, Nelly, my dear.
Another gift? Oh, I am a lucky dragon!
It's also kinda sad how Nelly was originally drawn to Gaylord.
Gaylord was the first man I met who didn't try to slay me.
That just makes me feel really sorry for Nelly, but also explains why she can be emotionally manipulated, and maybe why she hates the nearby kingdom. You know, but they are always trying to kill her to prove something, reluctant dragon style. It's also hinted at that she is a bit of a glutton.
Oh, Gaylord gives me all sorts of things. Perfume, flowers, live sheep.
And she immediately horks down the bag of hot candy that Gaylord gives her to reignite her fire. I just like to imagine that the rest of her species is thin and Nelly is just kind of a fatty. After that she goes on a rampage, but you really get the feeling that Nelly isn't malicious, just excitable, and perhaps a little spoiled.
No, really, I couldn't possibly. Pour moi? Well? Nice try.
It isn't until Donald offers her the crown that Nelly finds some agency of her own and stands up to Gaylord.
That's Queen Nincompoop to you. I am my own dragon. I choose for myself.
Which actually makes me wonder, what was Gaylord's plan? Like, did he originally send Nelly to terrorize the village? Like he was already prince? They said he was already ruling the kingdom. So why did you need Nelly in the first place? Kinda shows that the writing in the series was kind of all over the place, but it's clear that Nelly has been a fan favorite ever since this episode, and her DNA is in many bottom-heavy, orb characters you might see in this community.
Love the outfit. Well, I have to burn you to a crisp now. Sorry, hun.
And finally the moment that you have all been waiting for, the infamous Tasty Paste episode, and what might actually be the biggest disappointment as well. I mean, Fat Daisy has such little screen time compared to the other girls featured here. One advantage being that there is a before and after shot. The episode is about the boys buying a recipe off their favorite burger monger and then selling it themselves. You'd think the plot would feature more of him since, well, he's the one that came up with the recipe, but the actual plot is more of a man-in-the-moon situation, with it all starting with Donald being too busy to spend any time with the boys.
I forgot.
I'm sorry, boys. This is the only time I could get off of work for a date.
And when they become filthy rich selling Tasty Paste, they don't have any time to spend with him. But getting back to Daisy, as she is the boys' first customer and the reason the product takes off.
Boys, all you need is some advertising. I'll give you some airtime during What in the World.
If you give me...
Oh, the tasty paste I can eat!
That certainly is a deal, because the next time we see Daisy, it's clear that she has been guzzling bathtubs of the stuff. She's definitely big all around, but I like how they made her more top-heavy with an apple figure and barely any neck. Of course that whole lapse of ethics in journalism comes back to bite her, when the boys take over her show.
That won't be necessary. You see, we bought What in the World. From now on, the show will only do Tasty Paste-related stories.
That's it! I quit!
Then a mad scientist creates a giant Tasty Paste monster. Then after the boys lose all their money making repairs to the city, it's revealed that the whole thing was a dream. Like, why? What was the point? Did they write themselves in a corner with Fat Daisy, who doesn't show up for the rest of the dream sequence? Or did they want to reset everything so they could go with Daisy taking over the Tasty Paste empire?
Wonky, my good man. This stuff is gonna make us rich.
I think we can all see where that is heading.
Boy, this stuff is good.
Well, that's all the really noteworthy appearances of BBWs in Quack Pack, and you know I have to say the impression has been overall positive. I mean, sure, it's implied that the audience wasn't supposed to find these characters attractive at the time. They were meant to be the butt of the joke, but there is no actual text in the material to point to. No one says that Nelly is ugly for being a fat dragon. Daisy doesn't feel bad for herself for gaining 200 pounds of goo. We do get one look from Donald, but that's it. So yeah, this is technically a positive representation of fat and weight gain, if at least by omission. And like I said, this is surprisingly one of the best animated series on the Disney lineup at the time, so it's a treat to see all the squashing and stretching and bouncing. So it's easy to see how the Quack Pack girls are in a weight class of their own.
Boy, this stuff is good.